Assessment Quickies, Student Learning Outcomes Assessment in 10 Easy Steps. Hi, and welcome to Assessment Quickies, a brief primer on assessing student learning outcomes in 10 easy steps. This is podcast number 3, Levels of Student Learning. My name is Michelle, and with the help of Professor Walter, we will provide answers to the most commonly asked questions about assessments. By the end of this podcast, you will be able to identify your program level expectations for student learning.
We now have SLOs for our program. So what are levels of student learning?
SLOs can be phrased to ask students to demonstrate their learning on different levels. Let's call them basic, mid-range, and advanced. At the basic level of learning, SLOs ask students about their basic knowledge or comprehension. For example, students will be able to define, name, recognize, list, or state facts or concepts. Another way to phrase SLOs at the basic level is that students will classify, discuss, explain, or restate facts or concepts.
So when we say that students will be able to name the major theorists in the history of sociology, or students will be able to define the major concepts in current sociological thinking, we are expecting a basic level of learning.
Yes. Let's consider some mid-range levels of learning. Here, students take basic knowledge and apply it.
So we could say something like, students will be able to apply theoretical concepts to solve current social problems.
Yes, exactly. Another way to phrase mid-range student learning outcomes is to ask students to analyze, compare, contrast, criticize, experiment, or question.
So, when we expect that students can apply research methods, or students can critique research articles, or students can employ statistical tests, we are expecting a mid-range level of learning?
Precisely. At the more advanced level of learning, students can be asked to synthesize what they already know to create, develop, design, or prepare a new plan or proposal. At the advanced level, SLOs may expect students to appraise, assess, evaluate, predict, or judge.
So when we expect that students design and carry out research for a senior thesis, or students can evaluate one another's project proposals, we are expecting an advanced level of learning.
Yes.
Why do we need to identify these different levels of student learning?
Well, for one thing, to build student learning across the curriculum, from basic to advanced, and for another, to select the appropriate assessment measures.
Thanks, Michelle. What do we talk about next?
In the next podcast, we'll explain the process of using SLOs to support student learning across the curriculum. And thanks for tuning in to this podcast.